Hi, I'm Eve Fisher, and I'm a real estate agent with Compass in San Francisco. I get this question a lot. You finally made the decision to buy property, but where do you get started? What's your first step? Well, a natural first step is to look at the inventory that's available. A lot of people go to Zillow or Redfin to look, and I really think that this is actually a pretty good step, potentially before you contact anyone or move forward with any serious plans. You get an idea of what kind of properties are in your area, you get an idea of the prices, and you get an idea of the neighborhoods that you might want to live in. So I think it's a really good start to get an idea of the lay of the land. Once you have that kind of idea of generally what you're looking for and generally what you think a price range that would work would be, that is when you get to the concrete steps. Now, the first step is to find a real estate agent, and here I am a little biased, because a real estate agent can help guide you in the path from the very beginning. Another question I get a lot is who pays the buyer's agent? In San Francisco, the buyer's agent is paid by the seller. That doesn't mean the buyer's agent is free. Of course, it's indirectly baked into the price of the home, but nothing directly comes out of your pocket for the buyer's agent's commission. So additionally, when you speak to this agent, which a lot of people get from a referral, or perhaps they meet them through a Zillow request or Yelp, Google, etc., that agent is going to first help you with referrals. And an important referral that an agent can make is the lender. You may be inclined to go with the lender with whom you do your banking business, because sometimes there's relationship pricing. But I also really recommend someone local. They know all the ins and outs of the local market. They know what makes a competitive offer. And they're going to be a really important part of your life when you're looking for a home and when you're in escrow. You're going to be talking to this person almost daily. So it's really important that you find one person with whom you have a good relationship and a good connection throughout this process. And that is what an agent can recommend to you. Now, the other thing an agent can do is they can set you up with a search. With Compass, we call them collections. The benefit of doing that as opposed to doing it on Zillow is that, for instance, Compass searches don't include pre-foreclosures or foreclosures, which aren't really a thing in the San Francisco market. And they also include potentially off-market properties or coming soon properties that you wouldn't be able to see on Zillow. So sometimes you can see some additional properties that you wouldn't otherwise. Just to speak about Compass a little bit further, the Compass collections also allow you to speak directly to your agent. So you can send a note that says, hey, does this one have parking? It's not very clear. Or I can write a note that says, I know that you liked this property, but it is tenant occupied, right on the property. So it's easy for us to communicate. So the agent can really get you started in this process. And I do recommend that people interview several agents. Just like with the lender, it's a very intimate process. And so you'll want someone with whom you can work closely and with a lot of trust. Now, the other person that I touched on is finding that lender. And the lender can help you decide, obviously, what you can afford. But the interesting thing here is that there's often a difference between what the lender says you can afford and what you want to afford. The goal is to not have you scraping the bottom of your purse for change to make the home purchase or after the home purchase. So I do have clients who will say, I can afford $2 million according to the bank, but we really only want to spend 1.5. And so then the number in my head is 1.5, not 2 million, because it does have to be something that the client is comfortable with, a budget the client's comfortable with. Additionally, when you speak to a lender, and part of the reason you want to do so early is because the lender tells you about the current interest rates. You can only lock in an interest rate when you get into contract on a property, when your offer is accepted. But differences in interest rates can really change the monthly payment. So you'll want to have that number most up to date for your own personal calculations. The other thing is that the lender can help you strategize your finances. They can help you decide if you'd like to have a big down payment, to have small monthly costs, smaller monthly costs, or if you'd like to really reduce your down payment. I've seen it as low as 10%, so that you can, potentially utilize the fact that interest rates are so low and keep your cash in reserves and in stocks, etc. So those are sort of the two concrete steps you need to make, is finding a lender and finding an agent. Indirectly through the process, as you start talking to your agent, what you're going to be wanting to think about is your budget. Again, what you can afford and what you want to afford. You're going to want to start to develop those neighborhood preferences, develop your size preferences and your type of home. If you want a condo, if you want a single family home, if you want a multifamily home, that sort of thing. And also prepare your finances. You'll speak to your lender about that. So in terms of, you want to make sure you're not buying a car, making any large financial decisions during the period that you're looking for a home, because that can affect the loan that you're in the process of getting. And then also, one thing you should be doing during this early process is tracking the market. So if you favorited properties in the beginning of your search, waiting the 30 or 40 days that it takes to close so that you can see what the actual final sales price is. So as opposed to just seeing the list price, you're definitely going to want to see the sales price, because those can be radically different in the San Francisco market. So in short, when you first decided to buy a home, your first steps are to find a lender and find an agent, and to start to get to know the market. A good agent will be okay with the fact that you might not be able or interested in buying the next day, the next week, the next month. A good agent and a good lender should know and be okay with the fact that you want to buy in potentially 6 months time or 1 year time. So that's basically the beginning of the journey. The next video next week will be about, once you've decided on your lender and your agent, what does the search process look like? And once you've found that home, what does the offer process look like? And what does the escrow process look like? Basically walking you through the steps until you own your new home. Please subscribe and watch this space for more videos to come. Again, I'm Eve Fisher. I'm a real estate agent in San Francisco.